Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox. I would like to welcome you to the Sunday Book Review. The Sunday Book Review is the series where I discuss books which impact the compliance practitioner, the legal professional, and the business professional. I hope you will enjoy this episode. The Sunday Book Review is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network. Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, and welcome to the Sunday Book Review for July 30, 2023, the True Crime Edition. I've gotten on a mini roll around books on crime, looking at some great works of fiction, some masters of tracing or tracking down serial killers. Today, I want to look at some top books on new crime. First up, The Shadow of Death by Philip Ginsburg. How do you write a compelling story about a mystery that has not yet been solved? Philip Ginsburg showed us how in this compelling search for the Connecticut River Valley killer who remains at large to this day. It's a complicated case with 6 victims, but the author takes his time painting the scenery and telling us about each victim. There's no final solution, but it does present a hope for closure. Next up, The Wrong Man by James Neff. It is a book about the Sam Shepard case. And if you're writing a book about a miscarriage of justice and hope to present a better theory of murder than the prosecutor, you should study this book. It's how Sam Shepard was found guilty of murdering his wife and inspiring the show The Fugitive. This book builds a defense for Shepard. The drama is definitely intense. Next up, one of my personal favorites, In the Midnight of Good and Evil by John Berendt. How do you make your story fun? Well, you look into the eccentric characters involved, and really, I can't think of a book that had more eccentric characters than this one. A great movie with John Cusack and Kevin Spacey, but the book was just fabulous with details of the characters of the city of Savannah, making as much an impact as the story of the murder. And finally, Couple Found Slain by Mikita, Brottman. This true crime book breaks every convention of the genre and somehow still works. It's probably the best true crime fiction of the last 5 years, at least according to the James Renner. Most interestingly, the murders are not the central characters in this book, or at least the central mystery. The mystery is what happens when a legitimately insane killer is sentenced to serve time at a psychiatric hospital, then becomes sane. Brottman's book triggers deep ruminations on the nature of free will and the punitive bend of the American justice system. If you want to learn how to include important themes in your writing of this genre, this book is definitely for you. And we throw in an addition from James Renner, and that is The Colorado Kid by Stephen King. Well, of course, it's fiction, but in this book, King, a master of structure, presents a book on figuring out who did it and how they did it. So Renner included this book in his article, and I commend it to you because Renner commended, and anything Stephen King wrote, of course, you should read. I hope you're enjoying this summer of crime and murder, mystery, and mayhem on the Sunday Book Review. I'd like to tell you about the latest addition to the Compliance Podcast Network. It's Two Gurus Talk Compliance, where, with my friend and colleague Christy Grant Hart, we take a look at some of the top compliance commentary around. It's a long-form, up to 1 hour podcast, but if you're interested in compliance, if you're interested in Christy Grant Hart and myself talking about compliance, this would be a great podcast for you to check in on. It premiered on March 10th on the Compliance Podcast Network. I know you'll enjoy this latest offering. Additionally, we have Data-Driven Compliance, which is a podcast where I look at the use of data in compliance programs. This is perhaps the most cutting-edge podcast I have going right now. And if you're interested in how data can be used, how to structure a data analytics program, what tools are available out there for you, and how compliance practitioners are using data, this is certainly the podcast for you. So check out Data-Driven Compliance, all on the Compliance Podcast Network. The Sunday Book Review is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.